So we wanted to give you guys a little bit of some background on the magazine and talk about what really goes into producing something like this twice a year. So can you guys just tell me a little bit about what like the pre-planning process is and what goes into that?
Well, we never really stop planning. We sort of, as the ideas come, we start a list, but we really don't start buckling down and start, really assigning stories to reporters and trying to figure out what we're going to shoot, what the images that are going to go with the stories. That process started this last time, kind of late December.
Yeah.
Mid to late December, and then probably really buckled down, I would say, in February. That was when the rubber met the road. So we've just come through that process, but it is a lot of planning, a lot of setting up appointments and just being in the right place at the right time and contacting sources, and that's what the process is
On
like.
top of the regular
as we're
Right.
putting
It's
out a
in the
weekly
midst of a weekly paper cycle, but I mean, what a lot of people don't realize is magazines like this, from a printing side of things and production side of things, it takes time. And so while it may come out the paper, we do that Tuesday night, it's printed Wednesday morning. The magazine takes a lot more time. It's a lot of color. It's a different kind of printing. It has the gloss. It has the newsprint. And so the process to get that printed is not a 24-hour process or even just like a couple of hours Wednesday morning. It is a week to a week and a half. Some of it gets printed here. Some of it gets printed there. It has to be assembled. It has to be trimmed. Has to be labeled. So it's a lot more of a process to get that done ahead of time. So while it comes out next week, I had to have it to the printer last week. And then, of course, I have to take all the pieces to this puzzle, from the content and the articles and the photos to the advertising, and assemble that puzzle into 40 pages. So that takes a couple of days of, and then sometimes I think I'm done, like I was this go around. Friday I left, I was like, it's done, I can breathe, no more sweat, my hair's not sticking up. And then Sunday afternoon, I started having second thoughts. And you know what? We can make it a little better. So I logged in 2 hours later. I added more pages, more photos, just to make it more interesting. So it's, while we start, like he said, we never stop looking for magazine ideas.
Yeah, so send us your ideas for the next one.
Yes, I mean, we have a whiteboard where we just add to it, and then it's kind of like we know which one's coming up, so we write it on there.
And it's a bit of a time travel exercise, because you're planning, you're planning stories today that are not going to appear in print in people's mailboxes for another month or two.
Right.
So obviously the spring edition and the fall edition, they feel very of that moment, but we're making it feel of that moment before it actually happens.
Right.
Which can be tricky.
We're in spring mode in January.
Right. And like the first time we did one of these, it was a Christmas magazine. Well, because of the amount of pre-planning and wanting to get this out before people are done shopping, I'm having to go to all these businesses who don't even want to think about Christmas, because we just got back to school in August, and I'm knocking on their door saying, hey, look, we're doing a Christmas magazine and I need you to commit now.
And they're going, what?
Yes, and they're saying, I haven't even got my stock in yet. Or, we're having to pull pictures from last year to use in their ads promoting their Christmas for this year. Because, face it, a lot of people have this mental thing of Thanksgiving is when Christmas starts. And then a lot of people start in September or sooner. So the businesses kind of struggle to find that happy medium on when they turn that corner. And so when it comes to the promotion, though, we have to do that ahead of time. And so it was kind of a big switch for not only us to be planning so far ahead to make sure the content is relevant for when it's released, but also starting to get all these businesses out here in that same frame of mind of, okay, so this year when you do Christmas, we're going to use those pictures next year because you're not going to be ready for it whenever I need it. So that's kind of, from the advertising perspective,
and from the more creative side, though, it makes you be more creative. It makes you be more agile, and that I think does also serve the weekly print edition.
Yes.
I think the magazine has helped and improve the look and feel of the weekly edition too. However, you can't control the universe.
Yes.
We planned out to have a cover story, and at the last minute, we had to move that story inside and find a new cover story, which is how we came up with the high school spring plant sale FFA group. Really doing a deep dive, getting behind the scenes with those kids, and getting dirty and seeing what they do and how they do what they do, and why they do what they do.
Because the idea had been the AI, beehives, beekeeping. John David Peterson was going to be such a cool cover.
Still a great story.
And, it's a great story, but unfortunately for us, John David was in California, and it just wasn't possible to fly him home for an hour so we could get that picture. So while I did get access to like his what do you call it?
Plant
facility.
Plant, but yeah, I mean it's a neat little setup out there in Baxter. It wasn't him, so we were able to use the pictures with the story, but
had to be flexible.
We had to be flexible, and luckily for me, Joel had been down at the FFA group and had gotten a variety of pictures. One of which just was the perfect one for the cover. We got teenagers.
Big thank you to Hunter Burnsit.
Yes.
I've been hounding Hunter for probably 6 months for a story about his program and his kids. And the timing just worked out to tell in place. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's kind of the key. The Baker Backroads is about Baker County as a whole. It's about the community. It's about the businesses. It's about the people. It's about the places. And so that's the theme of this magazine. While we try to have different, like this one is very heavy in agriculture because of the spring, summer theme. We also have the travel aspect, what to do with your kids, because as much as social media may not be my favorite thing to have to keep up with in our business, it's obviously a necessary evil, you could say. So we follow, we see what's going on that way, and we see the questions that people are asking frequently. What is there to do? I have kids, there's nothing to do. And there's a lot of those people, it's going to be the same thing over and over constantly, but ultimately, we now have a comprehensive list of things to do inside, outside, spring, summer, free, cost a little bit of money. There's a lot of choices, so you no longer can say I don't have anything to do because we have a lot of choices.
There's a ton out there, so,
yes.
So definitely refer to that magazine come spring break time.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our cues for content is led from things that we see in the community, people commenting on, people talking about, things like that. So that's kind of where that article idea kind of sparked. Jesse, could you talk a little bit about? I know you spoke a little bit about the advertising, but as far as like how we work with them and how they help us produce this magazine and how we partner with them and how it works out with just arranging them in the magazine, like if you choose where they go next to certain articles or anything like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. This is another kind of that really sets it apart from the paper. This magazine gives us the chance to blend an advertiser and articles. So we can have an article that is about, I think we did one about boutiques and the rise in the number of boutiques in Baker County. And so we actually went to our advertisers because it's kind of a hand-holding situation. Their advertising is what helps us and enables us to produce the content. So we allow their voice to show in the article. And of course, that also means when I'm working on the production and I'm putting that puzzle together, I want to make sure that story is close by where that ad is. So that way people make that connection.
It's a seamless publication.
Right. And a lot of magazines, that's what you see. Sometimes, in the newspaper, advertising doesn't drive the content. In a magazine, that switch kind of flips to where our advertisers, because they are paying a premium amount to advertise in
very big, very pretty ads.
Exactly. Full color, and it's direct mail to the whole county. So we kind of let them take the reins. Now, they don't get to write the stories and give them to us.
That would be too easy.
Exactly. But I mean, we try to blend them in to give them that added voice in a story in addition to their advertising. And I mean, we've been very blessed. Local businesses have been very supportive. The very first magazine that I promoted, I sold out the ads in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
literally.
The community support for the Baker Backroads
Yes.
has been phenomenal.
And I mean, the benefit of that was the advertisers then came back after we mailed this out and talked about how the community then responded to their ads. And so that's kind of the relationship, you know. We go to them, we provide them a chance and a way to reach more people. And we depend on you, our readers, to then go visit these businesses, because while so many people tend to go to Jacksonville or go online, these businesses are contributing to our local economy far more than the ones in Jacksonville or Amazon. So if you want choices in these borders, then you have to go to them. You have to go spend some money, check out what they have. And two, I challenge you, because I think you would be very surprised at what you would find that a lot of them sell. Because while True Value may be a hardware store,
That only so.
they have a hen's den that I love. And my husband hates for me to volunteer to go to True Value. And it's like that at so many others. Hagen Ace also has a massive gift shop and an outdoors area now. There's just so many that you may be quick to say they only have this kind of item, but then you walk in and they've got significantly more. So
shop local, keep it a virtuous cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then in terms of like the planning, mid-December is when we started planning. The magazine deadline for production was the tag end of February or about a week before.
So really it's a 2-month cycle of putting it together.
And I mean, and of course that's saying come December, we have our list together. Like
the planning never stops, but we really get down into the weeds.
Yeah. Come mid-December, at about that 6 to 8 week mark out from the production deadline, I like to have like stories done a week prior to my production deadline.
Yeah, from the editorial side, it's really the only way to manage it is to stretch it out and do it a little piece at a time.
Right.
Because of course we are cranking out that weekly edition still every week. So.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, we all kind of jump in and do a little bit of everything. So I may not be nearly as heavy into the writing. I'm more photos. I love to go do the photography for different stories. I like to, obviously I do the graphics for a lot of the advertising. This year we had the advantage, Elizabeth helped us a lot with reaching out and touching base with the businesses, so that allowed me to focus more on the photography and on those parts of it, the production side of it. And then she also wrote a whole bunch of stories in addition to what Joel wrote. Between the two of them, they produced every bit of content in there just about, with I think the 2 exceptions, and those were some recipes that I found that.
Yeah, but we did have a lot of fun doing it too.
Oh yeah, it is a fun project. It's something that is much extra work as it adds to our normal weekly work schedule. It is very fulfilling when we get that magazine in our hands. Nothing makes me happier than to walk in First Federal Bank and see the magazines laying on the coffee table there, and then seeing them around town.
It's really given us an opportunity to really highlight. I mean, a lot of these stories you will find in the regular print edition throughout the year, but it's, you know, the corner of a page, it's in black and white. We don't really give every story that we could. It's fabulous treatment, we'll say.
Yeah, this allows for deep dives. And
It does. And I mean, and it's the fun story. I mean, that one, I had so much fun taking that picture. This was our edition last spring.
Yeah. We profiled more Rain, the new mascot, but also her handler, of course. But that was a lot of fun.
But I mean, it's just, you know, it's things and it's just Baker County. It is, you know, what makes us so unique, what makes people want to come live here, as much as we may want to close our doors.
Shut the gate, lock it.
That's it. We like to highlight what nobody else is going to and what makes us special. And that's why we do it.
Enjoy.